Hi, friends. We are here from Buena Vista Elementary. We are so excited to see you guys today and to be doing some virtual learning. We here, the first and second grade team, are excited. My name is Mrs. Holden.
I'm Miss Bridger.
Hi, Miss Smith.
Hi, Miss Graham.
Hey guys, Miss Sisco.
We are going to be reading a book to you today, doing a read aloud, focusing on our English language arts. And the title of our story is called Mr. Spencer and the Rabbit.
Today we're going to start a new reader about a girl named Grace. If you look on the book on the screen, the title is at the bottom and it says Grace. Grace is the main character. She lives out on a farm and will take students on adventures on her farm and throughout the country. This story contains fictional stories with characters, settings, and plot. The setting for many of the stories is the farm where Grace lives. What do you remember about farms that you've learned about this year? A farm is a place where people grow crops and raise animals. Farms are usually located in the country, far, far away from the cities. I want you to look at the cover of this book. Who do you think is on this cover? If you guessed Grace, you're right.
Miss Sisco, do you mind pulling up some vocabulary? Because good readers always preview the vocab before we go into reading.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So our first word, and you can go to the next slide. Our first word is Midwest. If you're in second grade, you should know where that is. The Midwest is in the middle of our country. So this story takes place in the middle of the United States. Our next word is ripe. And on this slide, you'll see two fruits. I see bananas and I see strawberries. Which ones do you think are ripe? If you guess banana, you'll be correct. We know the bananas are ripe because we see that they're pretty yellow and they have brown, and the strawberries aren't fully red yet. Our next word is harvests. If you're harvesting something, you are picking it. It's ready to be eaten or it's ready to be sold, whatever it may be. Now we have some few phrases. If I were to say make a living, who knows what that means? We all right here, we make a living working at Buena Vista teaching you guys. So if you're making a living, it's whatever your job is for you to be able to earn money. Our next thing is mad as a hornet. When you think about hornets, do you think about wanting to cuddle up beside them? No, because that wouldn't feel very nice. So if you're mad as a hornet, you're really, really angry. And our last phrase is, and it's talking about rabbits, but it's saying, let the rabbits be. So if your mom or your granny or your auntie says, let her be, what does she want you to do? She wants you to stop messing with whatever you're messing with. So let them be. And that is our vocab for our story.
All right. And then I'm going to go ahead and read the story to you all. Let's let it load. It's called Mr. Spencer and the Rabbits. Let's wait till we get this picture up. All right. Grace Spencer's dad has a farm. Her dad is a farmer out in the Midwest, where the land is flat and the soil is rich. In the spring, Mr. Spencer plants corn next to the farmhouse. All summer long, he takes care of the corn. By the end of the summer, the corn is ripe. Then Mr. Spencer harvests it and sells it. That is how he makes a living. Mr. Spencer has a garden too. In his garden, he plants eggplants, beets, sprouts, and peppers. Let's see. There we go. Mr. Spencer has had some problems with rabbits. They crawl under the fence, hop into his garden, and munch on his plants. When Mr. Spencer sees the rabbits in his garden, he gets mad as a hornet. He shakes his fist and shouts at the rabbits. Why do you think he's getting so mad at the rabbits? Let's find out. Grace and her sister Jill like the rabbits. Grace says they are cute. She tells her dad to be nice and let the rabbits be. But Mr. Spencer can't stand those rabbits. and the Spencers need the plants in the garden to feed them in the winter. Last summer, Mr. Spencer got a dog to force the rabbits out of his garden. The dog's name is Pepper. He is a black dog. He sleeps out in the barn. All right, I want you to look at this picture. What do you think is going to happen? When Pepper came to the farm, he gave the rabbits quite a scare. They were in the garden munching on sprouts. Then Pepper came charging out into the yard barking. The rabbits took off. They raced back into their hole as fast as they could. Pepper ran to the rabbit hole and went in as far as he could. He started digging with his paws, but it was no use. It was a deep hole, and he could not get down to where the rabbits were. Mr. Spencer was sitting in the living room at the time. He could tell what Pepper was up to. He smiled. "Good dog," he said. "Good dog. I bet those rabbits will munch on sprouts somewhere else next time." All right. Let's go back here. And do you have some questions for us, Miss Smith?
Okay, boys and girls, now we're going to go over our comprehension questions. The first question is, who is Mr. Spencer? If you guessed Mr. Spencer was the farmer and Grace's dad, you were correct. The next question is, what does Mr. Spencer grow in his garden? Who can tell me what were some things that Mr. Spencer grew in his garden? Eggplants, beets, sprouts, peppers. Now let's go over those again. Eggplants, beets, sprouts, and peppers. You are absolutely correct. Our next question is, why does Mr. Spencer get mad at the rabbits? Why did Mr. Spencer get mad at the rabbits? What were the rabbits doing? If you said Mr. Spencer was mad at the rabbits because they were hopping in his garden and eating his plants, you were correct. You are so smart. Our next question is, what is Pepper the dog's job? What was his job? Pepper's job was to keep the rabbits out of the garden and from eating all the plants. You are absolutely right. And that concludes our story for Mr. Spencer and the rabbit. The end.
Boys and girls, stay tuned for next week for the next story and see what Grace is going to do. I am so excited and can't wait.